California's AA. I'm waiting with the state of California's AAUW as a college university liaison to try and build a stronger college university partnership program. I recommend that if you're not speaking that you mute yourself so that we don't have interruptions during the conversation. On today's agenda, I always create a very busy agenda. We might not get to everything. I'm hoping we get to most of it.
Okay.
And I first want to, besides welcoming all of the participants as you join us, I wanted to recognize Sigrid Morans. I'm not sure if Rebecca is on it. Do you know, Sigrid, is Rebecca going to be on it?
Come and use the other computer.
Yes, she was going to be on. And could most people please
can you mute yourself?
because we can hear your background.
Well, we actually hear you talking. The man who said the speaker's off, we hear every word you're saying. So
yeah. Okay, we're gonna mute everybody for right now.
Okay, do that. Okay. Okay, good. Okay. Perfect. All right. So anyway, I think everybody can still hear me. So Sigrid is the co-chair of the Branch Development Committee. She's on the state board, and she's the committee chair that I work with. So I'm the College University Partnership Program is under Branch Development. I couldn't have a better mentor for this program, so I really appreciate Sigrid. I haven't gotten to know Rebecca yet, but I look forward to working with her as well. Today, we're going to start with a very special person who joined our meeting from the East Coast, Katrina Breese. And Katrina works with National AAUW. She's the Senior Director of Institutional Advancement. I have been bugging her recently with questions on different things, and she's been very gracious about getting back to me and answering those questions. So thank you. Thank you for your help, Katrina. I really appreciate it. So we'll start with her since it's 7 o'clock her time, and we wanted to make sure she got on the agenda early. So Katrina.
Thank you, Susan. What I will do at least to start with just a brief screen share so that you all can take a look at a few slides I have put together around just a bit of background on me and my team. So you may or may not recognize my name having come into your inbox for a variety of other AAUW national emails. But I lead AAUW's advancement team. And as Senior Director of Institutional Advancement, I sit on the senior leadership team and oversee a variety of folks at AAUW, which I'll give more information on in just a second. So I wanted to give you just an overview of, AAUW and our org chart. Where do I sit relative to the other folks on our senior leadership team? You can see Gloria Blackwell, our CEO, at the top. And I sit on our senior leadership team with Shannon Wolf, Megan Cassell, Kendall Ridley. Also want to point out that Tom Chupp is our VP of Finance. He is listed under Shannon Wolf, but he also sits on the senior leadership team. I decided to just share out the different areas of responsibility for each of my peers, but then for me in particular, wanted to share that our individual and CU membership is under my purview, along with the Connect team, the branch and individual giving efforts that we have, whether that's direct mail, email, solicitations, or major giving. That all falls within my team's purview. We also receive support from organizational supporters. So for instance, we have received for some years now a grant from the Coca-Cola Foundation to support our Women's Economic Empowerment Initiative programming. That's our salary negotiation and financial literacy training. We also have a planned giving effort and team. We engage non-member donors as well. And recently, 2 training programs will be under my purview. So our salary negotiation trainings, our Start Smart, Work Smart trainings, and the efforts to do that will fall under my team as well. I sit on a variety of different board and national committees. I believe Diane Owens is on today's call. So Diane is not only a national board member, but she's the chair of our advancement committee. And so I staff that particular committee, but we'll also sit on our AAUW governance committee and other subcommittees or task forces as they are appropriate and come along. But just wanted to at least share this, and for posterity's sake, I'm really glad that there's a recording of this. So if any of you, want information on just my other team members, my fellow team members, you can have it here. On my team specifically, wanted to just share who's there. So I have Jonathan Ortiz, who's our senior manager, communications and marketing. So I have 50% of his time. He has a dotted line to me. And so he really helps us with the copy for our newsletters, any kind of website projects, also to our email solicitations, our direct mail solicitations, really the content related to any kind of membership or fundraising activities. And the remainder of the team includes Katie Rossman, who leads our corporate and foundation, basically our institutional or organizational giving, Nadia Dagestani, who leads our major and planned giving efforts, and Tremaine Parquet, who leads our membership and annual giving. So many of you may be quite familiar with Tremaine, Angie, and Marisa. They really support and have been, I know Angie celebrated, she started at AAUW 31 years ago, I believe. So she is an institution in and of herself and is, a real superstar on the Connect team. But Angie and Marisa are the humans behind the computers and the emails and are there really tirelessly supporting our members. Nadia and her team, inclusive of Alexander and Michaela, help support our Legacy Circle members as well. So thought I'd at least start off with that brief introduction of who I am and our team before I get into a little bit about what we have on our college and university member toolkit. So hopefully some of you may have already taken a look at some of the resources that we have on our website for college and university engagement, but thought it could be helpful for me to just pop on and navigate what that looks like, where you can find the information that we have available so far, and wanted to also point out that we have plans to add to this toolkit as time goes on. A lot of what we would add or change even to the toolkit, I hope to be informed by conversations like these, not just from AAUW California, but I already have some really actively engaged members across the country who really wanting to engage more on campuses, not just with students, but the staff and faculty there as well. So I'll share my screen once again so you can take a look at what I'm looking at. And this is our AAUW.org front page. And so the location of our college and university member toolkit is going to be, if you see at the top, my cursor, far right, above the donate button, very prominently red and donate on the top right, we've got membership. And there we have sort of the area with the resources that we know our members will likely need to and desire to access most. Our toolkits are shared in the governance and tools section right here on the right. And the CU member toolkit is right here. It's the second one from the bottom. I know the community hub tools and resources are quite important, so we left that at the top, but you can see I've got the CU member toolkit, hopefully in a position of importance for you all to see right in that second place. In the CU member toolkit, if you click on it, you'll be directed to this SharePoint file, which should be open for all of you to be able to access. And within it, you've got a series of 6 different PDFs that you can download, you can print, email, and share And they include everything from how a college or university can join or renew, FAQs that I hope will be helpful to you, but to which I think it will be great to add to. These are the questions we believe you all may have, but I know I'm really curious to hear from you all what your questions are, how I can support today, but then maybe add to these FAQ lists or documents so that we can really help those other members in other states who may have very well the same questions that you all have. We also have the CU membership brochure. So this really is, and I can just go ahead and open it up. This gives an overview of the benefits of membership and provides just information about, even how to find branches near them. These QR codes are really there to have a quick access for someone who might be interested to take a look directly at the website from the form. We've got the benefits listed along with the annual dues rate. Next, and I thought it was a great question that was raised earlier about grad students versus other student members. And we do have here the how to join free AAUW students at CU member institutions. You'll see we have 2 updated coupon codes for the free student memberships at current CU member institutions. There is a different coupon code for students versus grad students. The important distinction is that a graduate student will have an undergraduate degree, as opposed to perhaps a currently enrolled undergraduate student that doesn't have an associate's or bachelor's quite yet. That is a distinction in terms of membership type that I just wanted to point out. And then we have also flyers for how students and staff and faculty can learn about our programs. We have a QR code to the registration page. Want to share that we concluded last academic year's Work Smart and Start Smart and Money Smart programs. And we are currently at work making sure to set up all the registration pages and share all of the dates for this year's, at least this first semester's list of salary negotiation and financial literacy trainings. So we're really looking forward to you all being out on campuses and sharing all of that information. With that, I'll just kind of quickly stop sharing. I see that Laura Wittenberg has a question.
Yeah, hold on here. Yes, I have a very active role as a representative at St. Mary's College of California. And I went to it. They had a leadership program. I've been working on this for 6 years. And it's finally, COVID put a mess in it. But we're finally getting to the point where we really have a pretty sound, active college and university program that the faculty are really embracing at this point. So in June, they had a new leadership program that was originally started in New Jersey, Rutgers, I'm sorry. And I helped them find representatives and government people to come to our thing just by giving them contact information and a number of community contacts. We ended up with mayors from all over the area. We had our representative to our state government. We had national representatives, and they took them to the Capitol for a day. That was all living together in residence. Anyhow, we had 10 girls signed up to become national e-members, and 5 of those girls actually are students at St. Mary's. The other ones are at colleges around the state. But they wanted to start, and one of their goals is to start a student affiliate, as well as we're now just working on a thing that's just it's a pie in the sky right now. But some high school students we work with have asked to move forward a women's healthcare initiative. And would we support them? One of the girls has done it at the school with bone marrow transplants. She's willing to help them. So I'm working to pair the high school students with the college students to organize this initiative and then move it forward. This is under the Women and Gender Studies department at St. Mary's College. We also have a STEM program that we've been putting on since 2016. It includes 200, any place from 150 to 200 girls from all over the East Bay. So we have we've been over time networked and gotten a strong relationship going. But I find it difficult when I send in a list of the girls and all their information to have them entered as a member, and I get no communication back that they have been entered as a member or not. When they tried to go on independently, it didn't work. So I said, I'll send it all in, because that's what I was told to do in the past on the form, and I haven't heard a thing.
Really sorry to hear that. I certainly understand that that can be really frustrating. I think it does highlight, a piece of the process that is can be hard to manage when we are sending in lists separately to have them sign up. That is why we encourage as much as possible for student members to sign up through Community Hub. But if you can forward to me that particular request, as I oversee our Connect team, I'm happy to shepherd that in. But another way for sure that, you can ensure that they sign up is kind of following the steps that we have for how to sign up the student members in the flyer that we have in the toolkit.
Katrina, if I could interject here for a minute. In order for her to continue her presentation, if maybe you could all put your questions in the chat and we'll address them at the end of her presentation so she can get through her.
Came through. I did start putting it in the chat, but it was complicated. I'm sorry. But
Okay.
Go ahead, because I'm very enthusiastic about the college and university program. I'm very committed to it. I see it as an umbrella to all the initiatives that we say that we're all our mission for AAUW and our local mission. And
I'm going to say, Laura, then I want to tag you and have you help me create some documents that we could share with others on how to initiate and support our college university program, because everything you're going to see later on today is from response to a survey that we gave last winter, spring. But we need to develop materials, and someone who's passionate about it like you I really appreciate your input.
Okay, that's fine.
And Katrina, were you going to tell us more?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, what I really thought would be a good use of our time, and I see that there are already some great questions that are popping in. And so I kind of wanted to at least address some of them, because I think it forms a good basis for, what I have to share in information. I see that for some things, there certainly will be common kinds of questions. And so what I wanted to start with was just the topic of Start Smart and Work Smart, and accessibility for CU member schools versus non-CU member schools, involvement of branch members who previously were salary negotiation trainers, what is going on there, Work Smart Online, what are the resources. So I thought that could be at least one place where I could start and kind of go through some of the other questions. So the topic of our salary negotiation programming and what's changed has certainly been a big one over this past year. You all may have been familiar with the previous license model and the facilitator training that we had online. Some of you in this room certainly may be trained facilitators and have been doing it for some years now, which I certainly appreciate, as salary negotiation is a big passion of mine as well. So what has changed over this past year is that we no longer have a license model. Previously, we were selling licenses to schools, following up with them. And we were finding that license model, both in renewals and then getting contracts, and just the process of maintaining them and then selling these licenses was actually not a sustainable or profitable way for us to do business. And we decided this past year instead that we could be more effective if we more broadly rolled out this as a benefit to our college and university members, and to select other institutions should we receive funding to support them. And so the example is for our over 400 colleges and university members, if you are a member of AAUW, every student, staff, and faculty on your campus is able to access our salary negotiation trainings. Now, the question was, are they limited to CU campuses? We certainly are only promoting them to our CU member campuses. Right now, there's not a paywall or firewall. That means that if you're not a verified college or university member, that you then can't access it. We made that decision largely because certainly for any of you who've had issues logging into the community hub, we didn't want to have another wall to accessing what we hope to be able to be a freely available resource. But because this is specifically really a benefit to membership, we're only really promoting it to, in particular, our CU members. So that we can have it very accessible to them. We want to, in particular, use it as an engagement tool for branch members to be able to engage these colleges and universities, have something to share for those on campus to access salary negotiation and financial literacy trainings. So technically speaking, if a non-member or a recently lapsed CU member campus were to go online, have information about the salary negotiation workshops, they certainly have access to be able to register. But we're really reserving this as a benefit for our CU members. Now, something that is certainly behind a paywall is the national memberships. You cannot have your two included national memberships at your college or university as the official CU representatives without actually having paid dues being updated in our system. But in terms of accessibility for our workshops, they are not behind a paywall. So what we've really hoped to do in making this open is to have ways to engage more folks on campus. And in addition to, and I'll share my screen once more, and hold on a second, I had shared this with Susan recently as well, that we have our salary negotiation workbooks actually available online too, so that folks can access them. So I'm going to share my screen so I can walk through it with you. On AAUW's website, if you go to the center part, click on Get Empowered. We have here the workbooks for Start Smart and Work Smart available. You can click here and the workbook for the sessions are available here. So you can either share the links or print them out. Although I know a lot of folks do like the links, though I like a good paper and pen notebook taking. So I think for those that wish to do either, it's available there. And so we're hopeful that having those resources more readily available will provide just another opportunity for you to engage your members. Now, the other topic that has come up more recently has been, the topic of, I have branch members that have been trained facilitators doing these workshops in person in the past. They're itching to get back on campus. They certainly have been trained. And I've been hearing that from more than one branch over the past year in particular. And I will say, I certainly am very open to seeing what we can do to ensure that we're allowing for these previously trained facilitators to go out and be able to get back out on campuses. and that they're not limited by the license model. I think that what I'd love to do is to be able to track, how many of these workshops are our members having, ensure that we can see that the folks that are interested in doing these workshops have been trained in the past, and that we just can keep track of who is out there and really engaged on campuses. And looking to hear too, not just from you all, but for others, my sense is that there is this desire for folks who have these skills and the previous training to go out there and use it as another engagement opportunity. And we certainly would be open to that. And so I'll quickly take a look at if there are other, Work Smart or Start Smart questions in particular.
Also, I want to point out that they also have Money Smart now, which didn't
Yes.
exist. And it seems like that is a really useful skill for college students.
It is,
Mhm.
there's a component in the salary negotiation training that's around, and I think that this is certainly a concept that when I was a new college grad and thinking about salary, it all sounds like it's a lot of money because you go from getting, a part-time hourly job to all of a sudden this salary, and you don't really have an idea for what you need. And so creating a budget, having an understanding of benefits, understanding that benefits are a part of salary negotiation as well. But having, a foundation for financial success, setting yourself up for your future too, thinking about retirement and other things. And we also do have one of our partners who is an organization really charged with wanting to provide more information and literacy around investing in particular, is interested in doing other presentations to our membership, to our the same audiences that we reach out to for Start Smart and Work Smart, to talk more about investing and be able to almost level up on some of the introductory concepts that we have for financial literacy.
I'm going to do someone who asked about internships, which isn't really, Katrina, you might know more about national internships, but I don't know that we can spend time on it today. But I was going to let you know that one of our local universities contacted our branch, and they have interns, and our branch is considering having an intern from a local college do specific tasks at our branch. So whoever I can't find who entered that question, but you can contact me. I can talk to you about it. We're not experienced yet, but we are going to be gaining experience.
Great. Yeah, I know that AAUW National, as an example, so for those that will be in DC at various points, we have internships ourselves, but we don't have necessarily a repository of other internships that are available. I think that part of it too is we're looking to try to engage more meaningfully with colleges and universities. I know in the past we had things like a job board, and we had a variety of other mechanisms to try to engage CU members. And what this effort right now is here to do, I think, is to see what do those on colleges and university campuses, students, staff, and faculty, what are they seeking? Where can we be helpful in terms of providing resources? Where do we have the expertise? And then, of course, the bandwidth to do so. And importantly, how can we best leverage the experience and enthusiasm of our members to be on campus?
I was going to tell those of you viewing this, if you use the raise your hand icon on the lower bar, if you have a question, then you can see, you pop to the front of our screen and we can see you, because we might not see you if you're raising your hand physically.
Right.
So, and I know Laura had raised her hand a little while ago. I happened to see that.
Well,
so what and sorry for interrupting, Laura, just really quickly. I know we've got a lot of questions in the chat, and I want to make sure that I can answer those as well, because I know that those have really been coming.
Comment on specifically on internships. Our branch has hired college students to help us out.
Okay, good, thank you. So contact Laura for more
Thank you.
information.
Great. Okay. So the next one I see from Linda, if a student self-joins at AAUW, how can a branch track these students from their CU partner college? In the past, our branch has made an email contact list to encourage their participation in AAUW and branch programs. So I think this probably relates to just knowing about student members. I think that this was also brought up before. How can branches know whether or not a student member has joined, or who student members in their state are? I think that this is an important question, and perhaps this is one where we can sort of see, and maybe it's a question back to the group, is a listing or contact list of student members in your state something of interest. I think that if a student member is not currently affiliated with a branch, you won't necessarily have their information on your rosters, but you likely would want to encourage them to perhaps check out some of what your branch has to offer in terms of resources and events. And so what I can certainly do is bring that back to my team and say, is there a way for us to, by institution, pull lists on which student members are there by institution? And perhaps that's something that I can coordinate with Susan and Sigrid around, what in terms of California student members would be helpful to share with those individuals working with students and then CU campuses in the state. I don't know if there's anything you wanted to add to that, Susan.
Well, I think the institution would be a good way to go. I could explain how our branch has worked around it. Not that you want to hear this, Katrina, but instead of having them register with National, we have a QR code where they fill out all the information and we register them with National. And then we can also register them with our branch, because our branch membership is free too.
That's great.
So then we know, and we can reach out to them, and we have some active, they're not all active, we have some active students. So that was a roundabout way, but I like the idea is that if Katrina or somebody, or me, gets a list of the students from the institution. So if the CU person or your membership person emails me and say what students are registered at UCLA or something, then I can say this is the list. Now, I don't know if that list would include email addresses, so that'd be nice to have that too.
Yeah, I think that, as with anything, and especially if we, my thought is to see, what are ways that we can streamline how to get the best information that would be useful to members. And so that's something we can certainly explore. Another thing too, and I want to raise up, Sharon Sieber mentioned billing. And then even too, we had the topic of, institutions that, have shared with you that they renewed, but maybe they're not pulling on the directory. There seem to be errors, or even to what can you do to be a part of perhaps facilitating the renewals process. And I think that also can be one of those, maybe we can think through list shares in ways that if we have an engaged group of members across the state who'd like to know which institutions are up for renewal and haven't yet, and that can be a part of, either identifying the best contact to send the renewal notice to, lifting it up, because sometimes they go to folks who have left. And so we can certainly explore how branches can better be a part of facilitating that.
Katrina, that was my question. And I know that in the past, the bills have gone to perhaps the last person that signed the check. And colleges have people moving around all the time or moving to other colleges. And so is there any sort of organized way other than sending it to the person that sent the check last? I mean, has National come up with any other management tool?
Yeah, well, I think that when we're managing these renewals by volume, we go off of the best information that we have at the time. And unfortunately, if the institution isn't updating, for instance, who the right contacts are, we might not be able to. I know obviously the college and university representatives, those individuals who have one of the two national memberships are also perhaps helpful. But I do think that, certainly in some cases, engaging others at branches can be helpful, especially if they have an established relationship with an institution.
I was going to add something too, because that's actually part of our number 5 on the agenda. And I had learned from National, I don't know if it was from you directly, Katrina, but I saw a slide that they were going to send. The colleges and universities are billed according to when they paid. It's just like members now. They're not billed on a certain, like every June or every September or whatever. And so on one of the, at the end of the agenda that was emailed to everybody, there was a way to go online to check and see when your college and university owed money. And it turns out that when I tried it again, try number 3. I'm just going to shout that out right now because I might not get to it later. But I had seen somewhere that the National is going to send it to the president's office. But then when I was working with someone today, I forgot her name, was it Angie from the National, she asked me about one of my institutions, should be sending it to someone else. I also learned that just what Katrina said, they don't know who the representatives are, they meaning National. And so when we try and change the names of the representatives, because those can change, they really don't do anything about that. Instead, it has to come from the office that's paying the bill. And so your campus representatives, or you have to contact your campus representative and say, can you let the president's office or whoever is getting the bill make sure that we have the correct representatives listed? And that's how the representatives get correctly listed from the office that's paying the bill. I think that's important to know. Hey, Katrina, if anything to add about that?
No, I think you said it perfectly.
Okay.
I think that the challenge is that when, one office pays for it, they're kind of, we're limited to being able to just change who has the national membership without their authorization. And so that's one of the challenges in working with large institutions. Okay. So the question from Linda, and I see you have your hand raised as well, was if a branch signs up student members at a CU partner campus event and the branch enters them into their branch roster, does the AAUW email them to set up an account, or is an account automatically set up for them? I believe that the account is set up for them, similar to an individual branch member. So for instance, if you're recruiting your branch members and you enter their information into the community hub, unless there is a reason for an individual to go into their community hub account, they won't necessarily do that. Certainly we do want to prompt them to do so. But I don't believe that at the moment there is like an email ping that says update your account. Although we are looking at sending notices to individuals to go in and renew and update their accounts, because we know that it's important to keep activity up of some type throughout the year so that their passwords don't expire and have to be reset, which we know can be an inconvenience.
And so I say we can go maybe 5 more minutes with Katrina, and then we'll go through the rest of the agenda.
Great, thanks. Are resources being developed for student organizations? At this point, we have not prioritized the resources to set up student organizations. So I know that we have a process for new affiliates. So if we have on our website resources for setting up a new affiliate agreement, like a branch or a state organization. At this point, I think that at least anecdotally, I've heard we only have, that I've heard of, about a handful of student organizations on campuses. That's not something that we have dedicated resources to support at this point. So we don't have that leadership training for those student organizations. I think we talked about internships a bit. Let me see, can we use workshops with prospective members? We are thinking of starting a program for targeted potential member groups, specifically soon to retire recently retired individuals. I certainly think that, you know, utilizing the workshops for prospective members is a great idea to share resources. I think that, you know, folks who are retired or recently retired certainly may not have as much use for salary negotiation tools, although financial literacy could certainly be something that at any age, I think, is really helpful. And of course, the volunteer and other programmatic opportunities on your branches are great to be able to share. When will the webinars be available for the fall? We are in the midst of having them all updated on the site, and I expect that to be updated in the coming month, so within August. And then there are training sessions available, which I'm unsure what those are, but if it refers back to the salary negotiation and financial literacy, that will be updated this month. Okay, do we have to worry about privacy issues if using an intern? I don't know that that's something that I can really answer with respect to this. And then how does Nick Whistle as a leadership resource fit into this for students? Certainly Nick Whistle, the scholarships that our branches provide and the programming there is definitely a great leadership resource fit. Another thing that I have certainly been thinking about and talking about with our programs manager is we have so many really great workshops that were presented at Nick Whistle, and these presenters submitted applications to be able to do their presentations at Nick Whistle. But even those at Nick Whistle, the 500, you know, students that were in attendance, they weren't able to attend absolutely everything, and you typically have to choose between a variety of sessions. And I've been exploring whether or not we might want to reach out to some of those presenters to see if they would like to present their Nick Whistle content to the student audiences we're trying to engage, so that in addition to the workshops, we have other student-focused programming that certainly would be open to everyone, but that was developed really to engage students at Nick Whistle.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Well, I know I don't want to take up too much more time. I am loving all of the questions and information, and I'm happy to be able to follow up with Susan and Sigrid on anything else, but really just truly appreciate the opportunity to take a look at all these great questions and ideas. So thank you.
And one thing I talked to Katrina about that wasn't brought up here, so take a look at the toolkit. But Sigrid and I had asked Katrina, could a version be made where we could add our own information about our branch? Because right now the QR code leads into national, but I'd like to promote the branch to our faculty and staff as well. So she said, yes, they will work on modifying it so it looks good, not just stick it in there. So I appreciate that. Okay. And I want to thank Katrina for spending her Wednesday evening with us.
Yes, thank you, Katrina, for making time for all of us in California.
Thank you, of course. And
Thank you.
surprisingly, my daughter hasn't burned the house down. So she's 6 and up to no good, I'm sure.
Thanks
Well,
for joining us tonight.
thank
We
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of your day.
Very helpful.
What I'd like to do is continue with our agenda, and our third item on the agenda was Nick Whistle. I, in general, just wanted some feedback on if you sent a student, how well did it go? And then I also am thinking that our next meeting would be focused on Nick Whistle, because I'm looking at October for our next meeting. in planning how to make it an easier experience for the students from the West Coast. I did find out that California sent around 55 students. And Katrina gave me the number. I asked for students even from the West time zone and from then a larger time zone. And so just so we know that traveling to the East Coast is a bit of a challenge time-wise for anybody coming from the Pacific time zone. So I think we're on item number 3, and then on the online branch will talk to us for a few minutes. So Sigrid, I think you could unshare, and then I can see if anybody has raised their hand if you have any feedback on Nick Whistle.
Laura has her hand up.
Okay, thank you, because I have the wrong view. Okay, Laura, yes.
Okay, so I, a number of years ago sent my granddaughter, she said she went to Nick Whistle because she figured I'd never leave her alone if she didn't. And she had gone to many national conferences in the previously, and she said she's never been at a better one. And as a result of her sharing it with our branch, the following year we sent 2 girls. The following year we were going to send 2 more, but the COVID got in the way. Last year, we did not budget for it because the online one did not work. We tried sending girls, it didn't work out. But she actually went back to her school. This girl went back to her school and asked, when she couldn't get the national scholarship, she went back to her school and applied for it. She was awarded the tuition. She got $700 from the college. And then I petitioned the branch to pay for her airfare and expenses. So we gave her another $600, and she went, and she is coming back to campus with so much enthusiasm for AAUW. Several of the girls that were in this leadership program last June also attended. And when I was at the leadership program, they were all bragging about going to Nick Whistle and how fabulous it was. Mm-hmm. And, you know, out of 20 girls, there were like 5 of them that had gone to Nick Whistle. So, and I have never heard anybody come back from Nick Whistle that didn't talk about how wonderful, what a great experience. One of our first girls that we sent, she also came back and said it as a first generation student, she was really struggling right around graduation. She had not gotten a job. And she said it was her second year at Nick Whistle. The second one was online. She said what she learned the second time helped her to land her job finally.
Well, thank you.
Thanks.
I have nothing but good things to say about it. And our branch is committed to sending 2 girls next year.
Okay, I
made a budget for it.
I'm going to go on to a couple other hand raises if you don't mind, right. Laura. Okay, Doris.
Doris.
I just want to mention our branch has sent 4 girls to Nick Whistle. It's been a good experience, and it's a cultural thing for our girls when they went to the East Coast. So it was a good experience. The great part that we have is that the community college, the Petaluma campus, sponsors half of it, and we sponsor the other half. And not only that, they recognize this program because it is a premier training program. We have a plaque that's going to be going up in September showing the 4 girls that have already gone, and then room for the next ones that we plan in the future. So we've been, we also sent them to the online one, the ones that have already gone, because it was only a couple $100. We sponsored them so they could be online and do that one. So we've had a lot of success with our Nick Whistle. That's at the community college. At the local university, Sonoma State University, our liaison to that campus is having some difficulty because they say it's a sexual bias thing, that it's, you know, it's for women, and so you can't publicize it or something. We don't have that problem at the community college. They're very cooperative with us, and we do a lot of programs on that campus. But I'm sorry that our Sonoma State rep is not here listening to this, because she's had some difficulty making inroads. We've made a lot of inroads with the basketball teams with Title IX, but we haven't been able to do on the Sonoma State campus a Nick Whistle person.
I was going to interject that Title IX might be a future topic for us, because Sigrid and I heard a little bit about some of the difficulties, and I think if AAUW, your branch is picking the recipient, it's not a problem as compared to if the college is picking the recipient. But that's the little bit that I gathered from a conversation. But so we need a deeper conversation about
Right. In our next event, we'll cover that.
that.
Susan, we've got two hands raised here,
Yes.
Deborah and then Estelle.
Yeah. Hey, Deborah. You're on mute, Deborah. You got to unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself.
Yeah, I'm
There we
a
go.
CU representative at the College of Marin in Marin County, and we sent one person, and we've had difficulty in the past specifically about the timing, because it kind of has coincided with the finals and that sort of thing. So this time around, it was just barely made it over that threshold that the person could do their finals, and then, you know, right away they had to go back east. And of course, it was a problem in terms of traveling back east. And we did not fund an additional day, for example, to get acclimated. But I think that the idea of virtual is a good one. And I didn't know that there had been virtual NIC whistles available to students. I would like to know more about that. And I love the idea that the NIC whistle presentations, which so many found valuable, could be made available like mini TED Talks.
Well, I think that the virtual ones only happened during COVID. And actually, the students get a lot more out of going in person than they did out of but I did like the idea of having seminars or webinars for our students with some of the speakers from NIC Whistle. That would be awesome.
Yeah, because only so many students can go travel. But if you had, even if it's not as wonderful as being there, surely it still might have some value for another group of students that might be meeting on campus, which we're planning on doing in this coming, year.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Estelle.
Estelle.
Hi, I'm the branch liaison for our student organization at UC Davis, and my comment was also about the timing. Typically, we can only send seniors because they're the only ones who are willing to take a risk, just before their finals. Most of them feel like they're done. And I was wondering, and I almost hate to bring this up, but could they possibly consider every other year, bringing NICWSL to the West Coast?
See, that's a brilliant idea, by the way. I'm sure they will say no, but I think that's a great idea. And that's
we should ask, because it's very expensive for all of us here in California to be sending our students back east. They can help.
I think the problem will be logistics and finding the campus that can house it, etc. But that's a very innovative idea. Georgia.
Okay, I want to give you the experience of Oregon Online as well as the Grants Pass branch in Oregon. When it was virtual during COVID, my branch in Grants Pass, who sent people to Nick Whistle during when it was in person, would not even spend the money to send people when it was virtual, because the people in the branch felt that it was so important for the person from the West Coast to go to the East Coast for the in-person experience because of the networking with all the other women was so very important to meet all these different women, that they felt that the virtual just wasn't as important. And so they held their money. And in my branch, the Grants Pass branch, it's just a small subgroup, a special interest group, the beading group, which beads and makes earrings and all kinds of jewelry and sells it. And that's how they get their money. The online branch had money, and they've been fundraising for quite some time, sent somebody last year. And then we got together with California Online and held our first program in September, in which we had the women who attended, as well as some women who attended, well, I think one woman who attended the virtual, and a couple women who attended the in-person and had a program where they explained their experiences. Was so well received. In fact, it was recorded and edited and put up on our YouTube channel, where it has received over 1,000 views. And so if you were interested in viewing that, we could put the link to that in the chat for you to view it. Probably Bev pull that up.
Yeah.
Georgia,
Georgia, I was gonna
but we're doing that again. We're doing that again. And Kathy Foxhoven is the chair of programming for the online branch. And she was having the most difficult time trying to find someone from California who had attended. So I'm very glad to hear that 55 people from California attended. And I have to give you just one little story. One of the women last year who attended came from a community college. She thought it was marvelous. Her goal at that point was to go to community college, get her AA degree, go into the workforce. As a result of attending Nick Whistle, she not only changed her plan to not just stay with community college, she intended to get her community college degree, transfer to a four-year institution, get her bachelor's degree, and perhaps get a master's degree. She was just so enthused by going to Nick Whistle that it changed her life.
Okay, I'm
Thanks,
going to,
Georgia.
thank you.
We're-
I'm going to go on to the online branch plan, but I wanted to let everybody know that I asked the question. We all know Nick Whistle's fabulous, but we had some issues getting students there on time, and that's what I'll talk about in October and how we can maybe streamline that, because we want to get our students there, and it is a wonderful opportunity for our students. But the online branch, which Georgia just brought up, I don't know, is Bev or Kathy Fox? I know Bev's here.
Bev's here.
Okay, so if one of you, if you want to talk about how you're trying to get the names and email addresses for the students who went to Nick Whistle this year, so they can be part of this online presentation again. And Georgia, can you put the link in the text in the chat for people to view the YouTube video?
Yeah, I posted it in YouTube already, so
Oh, I
it's
see it. It's posted. Bev
yeah,
did.
it's in the
Thank you,
chat.
Bev.
And Georgia knows more about trying to get it. I mean, it's been really hard for California Online because we tend to do both of our online groups, California Online and Oregon Online. I mean, I go on to like 4 different AAUW groups because I'm just crazy about I'm just crazy but about AAUW. But one of the things that we really try to do, and working with Kathy Foxhoven, who is a former California state president, and so Georgia, former Oregon state president of AAUW. So we have these 2 leaders really trying to get that information. Kathy has shared, it's been really impossible to try to find out who is doing this in California. And that's when we were hoping, like, Susan, gee, could you add this, just add this to your agenda for you, in your committee. It's so important to have it organized. Georgia, I think you mentioned, if you could get on, I think you mentioned that there's someone in Oregon State who runs the Nick Whistle. Is that right?
Yes, Wendy Cook coordinates all the Oregon Nick Whistle attendees. So that's why we know that we sent 12 this year, 7 last year. She is also working with a travel agent to arrange travel for all of them.
Oh, nice.
So very fortunate. And Wendy works through our state board. And
So-
yeah, it's expensive.
So Susan, that might be a good idea to add to the October meeting, is talk about having a person who might be a central repository. Bev, you guys have been talking about this online branch, the 2 online branches. I know that you're still looking for student speakers for that event. Is that still true?
It is for California. I think Kathy has maybe 1 person. Georgia, I don't know. Well, you guys can access your folks quickly more than we can.
Yeah, we've got too many. Yeah, I think the Susan, why don't you talk a little bit about what you want people to do,
Well,
participants in this?
if you sent students to Nick Whistle, can you email names and email addresses? Should it be to me? And then I send them on to Bev?
Not Bev.
No, not Bev,
Not
Kathy
Bev.
Foxhoven,
Kathy,
Kathy
okay,
Foxhoven.
okay, so I can put my email address in the chat. So they're trying to reach out to all the students so they can have them all online and talk about Nick Whistle. And the date you have set is for September 17th. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so if you send me email addresses and names, and I'll share them with Kathy Foxhoven, and they will be contacted. We also sent, I think Kathy sent an email to National to share with the students, but this will be more direct. So I will put my email address in here if you don't already have it.
So would that be videotaped so that we can use it with our membership?
Yes, it
Yes.
will, just like the one that I put in there for the former YouTube one is listed. It's going to be done like that too.
You know, it would just really be helpful if we had a roster of reps in California.
Well, I am working.
Refer to call you or text you, or I mean, it's so tedious to try to get it off the website.
I'm trying to work on a list of our partnership institution and the branch that claims them. I'm also hoping to have a list of our co-chairs or chairs rather of CU institutions, but from the survey that we submitted, that went out, was distributed last winter, not every branch has a CU chair, and CU partner might be handled under the president or vice president or some other team leader. And that's why we have a kind of a broad invite to this, because gaining members, not just student members, but exposing the campus to the wonders of AAUW, we're hoping to inspire faculty and staff to also join AAUW, which is important for our membership. So I like the flyers and that National put out in the toolkit. One was for faculty and staff, but once again, it's a national QR code, and I want them to join our branch in the state, not just national. and so that was my only comment to Katrina about, can we add ours? And actually, some of you may be good enough on computers to remove their QR code and say contact our branch, put your own QR code. So that would be another way to go about doing it.
It's just it's very frustrating if we get on this line and none of us know really the direct contact. It's not easy to pick up those emails, and you go on site and try to get it as a member, because as a member you can find out your information now, but it's really hard. It used to be able to be a lot easier.
So if you want to find out who was identified by National as the campus reps, then the information I put at the end of the agenda, which has to access the CU institutions, even though number 1 and number 2 worked for me yesterday, it did not work for me today. So try number 3, where you actually log in. And then when you log in, I happen to see in the lower left branches, college, university, directory contacts. When you go to details, you can see who the reps are, and you can see when their next payment is due.
You have to go to every single branch, and it's a very tedious process. If we had a roster of some sort that you could refer to, it would be really nice.
So you're talking about the branch.
I've gone online to try to find out, because I had these girls at this leadership program that were not from this area. They were going to school in Southern California, Northern California.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be able to know who to connect them with at the branch. You can't.
You can send it to me, and I would figure it out.
Okay.
So that'd be another option.
All right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. I am going to move on to item number 4, state dues for students and a discussion. So the dues for our student affiliates in the past has been, if they're a student at a partnership institution, $0 free. If they're
For
not.
their state dues.
For the state dues, the state dues only. It's still free at national. If they're from a partnership institution. If they weren't from a partnership institution, then the dues was $10. So theoretically, a student from our branch, if they're from a partnership college, would pay 0 to national, 0 to state, and 0 for our branch because we don't charge the students. But the website that national uses cannot have 2 types of students. It only can have 1 type of student for the fee to build a student. And so we either have to have $0, $10, or something in between. The board is going to vote on this, I believe, at the end of August. We have a state committee meeting on August 24th, and I'll bring this up there. I had advocated to just make state dues free for all students in California, whether they're from a membership or non-membership, based on the fact that, as one of our members from our branch says, that students are the future of AAUW. All these resources on Start Smart, Work Smart, they're all for these young women who are going out into the world, and really AAUW is an advocate for equity. So make it free. So I'm arguing for it to be free, but I wanted to hear your opinion. I mean, do you think there should be a minimal fee? Because there's the opposite opinion out there too, that there should be some buy-in from the students. And so they have a good argument there too. So I wanted to get kind of a feel from you. And even if you don't get a chance to raise your hand or don't want to say anything, feel free to put in the chat anything because I'll save the chat. Raleigh, you have raised your hand.
Yeah, I just said in the chat that I just checked the state website, and the dues for the state dues for students, whether they are from CU partner institutions or not, are $10.
That's temporary though. They had to do that because we had to set a price. We couldn't have both. But now they'll vote whether it should stay $10, be something less than $10, or be free.
Or go back to 0.
Yeah, back to 0. Yeah.
Yeah, we only get one price. And so the issue is deciding which price it is, regardless of the status of your school.
Okay. Andrea.
Hi, it's Andrea.
Andrea, sorry.
Just real quick, I'm new to this, but my thought is the minimal fee of $10 also makes them feel like they're getting something of value instead of giving it away.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other comments?
I really think I was putting it in the chat, but
oh,
they have so many fees that they're drowning in. We have no concept of it unless you've gone to school recently. That I just think that what we're buying is we're paying forward to have these girls really benefit from AAUW and to continue with us. I just really think that we should there should be no charges.
Okay, so other people are supporting free. I did have a question for Sigrid, which she thought was a good question, but it's kind of a, I don't know, kind of a rebel question, you might say. I said, what does California do for the students? Nationals are doing a lot for the students, I think, because of all the resources they're providing. But I don't know what California is doing. I hate to say that because I'm from California, but that's, if we charge dues, what can we do for the students? Then we should be doing something other than sharing nationals information. I see Bev shaking her head.
We don't even pay that much for our own dues, you know. I just think that
at California level,
I don't think it's that outrageous, and
we pay, but okay.
Yeah.
Any other feedback or comments for?
Raleigh had her hand up.
Yeah, I think that was just accidental. I'm sorry.
Okay.
And Deborah.
Deborah
has her hand up. But you're muted, Deborah.
Oh, somebody just
Sorry. When we enroll students,
correct.
They can participate in our branch. But one thing that we can do that's available to anyone is to provide the newsletter. Now, the newsletter is free to the public. It's on our website. But if we have a list of the students that have signed up to be interested, then I, as the liaison to our college here, I'll make sure, and I have made sure, that they get the newsletter sent to them, because they may not be looking, they may not get it, or what, you know, all those things can happen. But if someone takes the time to actually send at least the newsletter, they get information about our branch and about, you know, California and national as well.
And that would be why we need to know who the students are at our local universities, yes.
Yeah, well, I keep a record, but now it's going to be a changeover, because that was a year ago that we signed people up. Now I have to see if they're going to continue.
And someone asked, can students join the branch as a member? Yes, we have student members at our branch. Because they're student affiliates, so they're not the same member you are. You know, so that's the difference. So they're joining as a student affiliate. Students are invited and are welcome to join our branch events. That is wonderful. Yeah. That's the way to keep them engaged. Okay.
Someone had a question in here about GovTrek, and GovTrek is on hiatus for 1 year. And part of the revamping is to look at who would better benefit from the GovTrek experience. And there has been a lot of talk about expanding that or shifting it to college level women. So that is definitely on the table and is being discussed actively, but there will not be a GovTrek this fall and winter, but perhaps in the following year.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. That's good to know. Because
Rhonda, you had your hand up.
I just want to make a point with respect to the students being a member of your branch. Your bylaws need to reflect how you deal with student members, whether or not you charge them, and whether or not they need to be a part of the college university partnership. And I believe that there's some sample language that it includes that from the general bylaws frameworks. So you need to, these are questions that you got self-determination as your branch on whether or not you want to charge a fee for them to be a part of your branch or not. And that's exactly the discussion that the state is having now.
Right. Thank you. That's true. Because some branches do charge fees for students. Yeah. All right. Any other feedback on this before we move on to another topic? Okay, then I wanted to talk a little bit more, checking my watch and my time, our partnership institutions. After this session, you're going to get a little survey. I think after every peer group, there's a survey that pops up, and I'm asking how many students you sent to Nick Whistle, because I didn't know the number 55, and it's a little less than 55 because it included a speaker, but until today. So I'm trying to figure out how much clout California has with requesting that national makes some adjustments in Nick Whistle. And some of you brought up the timing issue. So you'll get that question. I'm also asking who your partnership institution is, because I'm trying to prepare a list where in the survey someone had asked that they don't know, is this college being covered by another branch or not? So I'm trying to find out the name of the branch and the name of the college that you might be partnering with. So that's in the survey. That's why we're asking that. We already mentioned back when Katrina was on here that there were complaints to me about changing campus representatives. So the office that pays has to do that. Before I go on, let me answer Gloria's question.
I just wanted to make 2 comments. I represent Sac State along with Liz, who I think is here, which is a big campus. I would urge that the dues be 0 from the state, because we don't have students just running to sign up and be AAUW members.
We don't.
Okay?
We don't.
They're not. They've got 100 clubs they can join. That's one comment. And secondly, thinking back to what Katrina was saying, because I've been doing this for a while, before they moved to the whole new community hub, their old member leadership program records were such that I could go on and say California, and I could see every campus that was a CU member and every student who was an E member. That they had a database that you could go search, and they have not repeated that since they've done the new work.
Thank you.
We were asking how you had communication, so maybe they can do something on that order.
Okay, thank you for your input. Okay. And on item number 5, the renewal date, you could look online at the end of the agenda. Double check when you go online to see if you can find your contact university. If you can't, and you can't find out the renewal date, then email me and I'll look it up, because I can do it if I log on. I was doing it, I thought, without logging on, but today I had to log on to find that information. The way campuses are billed is they're sent a bill a month before the money is due. They're sent another invoice the month the money is due. And then they're sent a third invoice a month after the money's due. So this is from some chart I found somewhere online. So they're sent 3 invoices. And it'd be good to have your campus reps notify the office the invoice is coming. So especially if it's a new person in that office, they go, I don't know what this is, and they just put it aside. So you want to let them know that it's important they pay. There were 2 campuses I mentioned earlier, including one of my campuses, that are on the list of campuses that I looked up based on the survey that was sent out last March or February, March, where I asked, who are your partners? And people are saying, I'm a partner with this college. So we're a partner with San Bernardino Valley College. The San Bernardino Valley College no longer shows up on the list. And they say it's because they haven't paid, and they did pay. There's a glitch with it. So that's why I'm saying, look, you might be partners with the college that isn't on the list. Maybe they didn't pay, or and if not, then somehow you have to follow up and say, did you pay? Can you pay, etc., or resell it to them. So you can say, look, we're giving out scholarships to this university. We're selecting Nick Whistle students. You know, can you pay? I like the fact sheet that Katrina just gave us the title. If you look at the fact sheet, and if you look at the flyer that tries to promote the college to be a member of AAUW, those are really good selling points. That was my concern. I really need to know what I'm selling when I go and ask someone to be a partner. And they give you, the only thing I would change is I put our branch QR code, but the information is awesome. Our next peer meeting will probably be in October. I don't get to pick a date until committee meets, because I'll be competing with other folks. And then I'd like to focus on Nick Whistle, although as Sigrid pointed out, maybe we should also focus on Title IX and split the meeting in half. Nick Whistle, making it streamlined for our students. Title IX, how does that impact our scholarships and our selection of Nick Whistle students? I had some survey information that one topic that I'd like to, Sigrid, if you can share. Is Sigrid still on sometime?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, good. Okay,
Okay.
good. Okay.
What do you want to see?
So it's the one that's about initiating.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Okay. And what I did is the survey data from last March is on the state website. But it's copied and pasted some of the replies in the tab, in the kind of a linear form. This time I tried to highlight some of the key points, because today, since schools are starting, I wanted us to talk about, before we end, how did you get to know your neighborhood campus and university? How do you know whom to talk to? So from the survey, you can read those bullets, and then there's more below it, but we could email all this to you. But the top ones were summary, how people got to know whom to talk to at a neighbor. So the comments from the survey are lengthy, but we don't need to see all those. So just keep it scrolled up to the top. Right there. So invite someone from the campus, or someone honored a staff or faculty member. They invited the Nick Whistle awardees, but also a staff member to a meeting. Many campuses who have partnerships had a faculty who was a member of the branch. And then the branch could tell you whom to contact. Events on a campus resulted in contacts, like if you have STEM on a campus or you meet on a campus, you might have come in contact with people. Scholarships have led to contacts. Other campuses, especially I think universities that are vast. So some did the development office, some did student equity and success. I'll put development office twice. Liberal studies, Office of Leadership Studies, student affairs, gender studies. And then I mentioned those brochures that you could use to help sell it. So what I wanted to know today is, does anybody have any other strategies to how to figure out whom to talk to at your local college, university, to try and convince them that they should be a partnership institution with your branch? Okay, Estelle.
A lot of campuses have women's resource centers. So in addition to the Career Center, I think the Women's Resource Center is also a good place to go to. And when we first established our student organization, Rhonda and I visited the Vice Chancellor of Students, and that's how we made our initial connection.
Okay. Vice Chancellor. And I know that community colleges tend to have student services, and that's how we made our contact too. Okay, thank you. Laura.
You know, I found that it's pretty easy to get to the heads of departments on if you have a topic that you want to share with them. And my greatest success, well, we have a STEM conference that we do with St. Mary's, so that helped a lot to get our foot in the door, but it didn't get us to a lot of other areas. And it was just kept asking people that I meet, do you have anybody else that you think be interested in knowing more about our college and university? And I was in sales, so I know that, you know, for a referral. And then when I was trying to find out about the payment, because National was saying St. Mary's hadn't paid.
Right.
And when I got hold of the vice provost, that was the department that actually wrote the check. And she referred me to 2 other departments, of which it's really, and women and gender studies is it's so well aligned with AAUW and their focus. That's a really good one. But there are a lot of women faculty. There are not a lot of heads of the schools around, but for women, but the faculty are always willing to talk to you and give you ideas and thoughts. So you just have to go have a conversation with them. 5 minutes, go in, take those brochures that we have. We have some great tools and just take them to them and say, I just wanted to let you know what can happen here and how it is supportive of your students.
Yes.
Be supportive of their students. They go, oh, that's a tool. They need that. And that some of the clubs I've had girls that we gave scholarships to, we give them to sophomores and juniors to help with their finances during college. And those girls have, you know, had called me and say, will you help me put on a workshop? Will you help me do this? And that's the way I get into the school saying, oh, you're doing all this for the schools? Oh, I heard about you.
Great, great, thank you. Donna.
Yeah, Riverside branch went directly to the male president. He joined and the campus became a partner. Same thing happened at Saddleback. 3 AAUW women walked into the president's office. 5 minutes later, they were a partner. Right. Same thing happens on a lot of campuses when there are women presidents. That's really the key.
Okay, Alexia.
So we've actually, because of the size of our community college, we walk in and talk to the board if they have one. We have a board of directors and they're out and about and we run into them. Same thing with CSU Sacramento, we can run into them at different times. And so we've actually found that talking to some of the folks who sit on the boards for the colleges and universities, a lot of them are very interested in the association with our organization. So that sometimes helps put a top-down interest to the presidents and the university itself.
Oh, that's new. I haven't heard that. Thank you, Alexia. Anybody else have any feedback? Okay. All right, well, thank you for your input. So you could stop sharing there, Sigrid. I had another one to share with you, but we don't have a lot of time and it's really how to make inroads. So what I might do is just, Sigrid, maybe we could email that to folks and then they can think about it and give us more feedback on, and so now you've established a relationship. How do you maintain that relationship? How do you strengthen it? And how do you broaden and enhance it? Because we're getting short on time. And I did want to just open it up to any last minute questions or any topics that you think future meetings should address. We did talk about Title IX as a
I see the college and university program as covering all the priorities of national and state and our local branch. And I think that if we had some tool that kind of showed that for our membership, that, you know, how it covers, because we're all in these different departments and it's touching on STEM, it's touching on women in gender studies, it's all our missions are covered under that.
So Laura, I might have to talk to you about how you envision that.
Okay, I'd like,
okay.
I'm good at vision. I'm not good at narrowing it down to the detail, but I'd love to work with you on that.
Okay, okay. And then Deb Lerner, you have your hand raised.
Oh, I had just mentioned if it would be appropriate for us to talk about fundraising ideas, because the more money we raise, the more students we can send or scholarships we can award, you know, more students to Nick Whistle, that sort of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, interested in innovative funding ideas.
Okay, that's a good idea for us to share that. Any other questions or topics that you all really want to know about to strengthen your membership or your college university partner program? And if you think of something after the fact, I did put my email address in there. All right, well, it is getting to be 5:30. I didn't want to keep it longer than an hour and a half. And I don't know if I thanked everyone for their feedback and comments, but those of you who are, you know, bold enough to share your point of view, I really appreciate it. And if you think of something you want to add to the chat, that's fine too.
Can I ask one question?
Yes, Laura.
Will we ever have meetings in person? Because that's when I first got turned on to the college and university program, was when we had our state meeting in person.
I don't know the answer to that, but
I would like to encourage that.
Okay.
The problem with state meetings in person is funding. We're having the committee members up in San Diego for Committee Day, the end of this month. And it's about 45 to 50 committee members. And it's just, they're just there for one day and one night. And it's $35,000 to put that on.
Yeah.
So I don't know how we would do that. It's ideal, but we just don't have the funding to back that up.
Okay. And to Norma, who might still be on, said you couldn't talk. You could unmute yourself unless there was a problem with the program in general. Someone said they couldn't speak. I just wanted to make sure you were comfortable. We would have loved to hear from you. All right. Anything else? And I think then I will then, it's 5:30, I will adjourn the meeting. And thank you for attending. I look forward to seeing you all again at a future college university peer meeting. Thank you.
At the close of the meeting, you'll be automatically transferred to a survey. It's very, very helpful for us, the more people who conduct that, and it gives Susan a whole bunch of information to work from. So thank you for participating.
I'm gonna copy the chat.